Hi, this is Chico Resch. You are listening to the Let's Go Devils podcast on the Primetime Radio Network.
Happy Devils Saturday. Welcome to Game Day Live, presented by the Let's Go Devils podcast network and the Primetime Radio studios, along with Hank Kruber. My name is Vinnie Parise, and I am here with Shorts Guy as we are set to get you ready for New Jersey Devils hockey against the Philadelphia Flyers. Welcome to all fans watching on YouTube Live, Facebook Live, Twitter Live, and Twitch. Shorts Guy, the Devils are looking to play some spoily tonight against the Philadelphia Flyers. Flyers need to win really badly. The Devils would prefer them not to be a postseason team. What's up, dude?
Not much. We're pretty much and froze right away. That's a good start. We are the spoilers right now, and let's inflict damage on some Metro teams when we can. At least get something out of the end of this season.
Absolutely. There's a world where the Devils could keep the Flyers and the Islanders both out of the playoffs.
I love
don't
that
think
world.
that's the case.
I would like to live in that world right now.
Absolutely. That would mean probably that Pittsburgh crawls into that third Metro spot, and then Detroit makes the final wild card. I know those two teams would like that very, very much, but we'll see how it goes. Tonight the Devils play the Flyers, another game without Jack Hughes. What did you see from them in their most recent big win over the Toronto Maple Leafs?
I saw a lot. I saw a team that was able to go down and then claw right back, give up the first goal. What was that, within the first 15 seconds of the game?
Yep.
And then to immediately respond, and then to go, I think they went down again, and then they tied it up, and it was just back and forth. So it was like it was a team that had fight, which I feel like is a team that we didn't see very often this season at times. It was a pretty wild game. It was 3-3 or something like that after the first period. So if you bet the over, which I'm sure was at 4.5, 5.5 before that game, man, you won early. So it was quite interesting. It was there was so much in that game. Jake Allen was making big saves. They were putting in goals where they needed to, but still they were making some defensive blunders at the same time. I almost feel like, Vin, that last game was the entire season encapsulated into one 60-minute game.
That's very, very true. Keep your hopes alive. Be an okay team at times, be a crap team at times. Oh, yeah. That actually is a really good way to look at it. And, the Devils still have the third most wins in the Metro, which is
crazy,
absolute insanity.
And not in the playoffs. It's crazy.
Yeah, not only not in the playoffs, they're in seventh.
I know.
Out of 8 in the
those loser
division.
Points. It's the loser points that we just couldn't get. Like if this team that we saw against Toronto the other day was able to scratch out a couple draws, a couple end of regulation draws, our season might be just completely in a different spot right now, which would be crazy to think that all we had to do is get, I don't know, maybe about half a dozen, ties, or at least overtime losses. It's weird.
Yep.
It's just so weird.
And then if you go to overtime, how many of them do they win? Because I think the Devils have a distinct advantage when everybody's healthy in overtime. We saw it early in the season.
Yeah, it's weird. It's just like it's the small things. So it's going to be, I'm sure we'll do a recap on the big show. Maybe you and I can do a recap, here on a Game Day Live, or we'll have you on the big show or something like that. But there's just so many different pieces to this season and why it didn't work and what went wrong. The injuries are a big thing. Everyone's going to want to point to goaltending, which was just a piece of it, not the entire thing. But, just these small things are just sunk the season, collectively throughout the entire 82 game. Here we are in game 81, throughout the entire 82 game stint that was this 2023-24 season.
I think another thing we saw against Toronto that was just so evident to me was the play of Timo Meier. He had 3 power play points for the first time in a single game in his entire career, 2 goals and 1 assist. He's up to 27 goals and 24 assists for 51 points in 67 games. That's about maybe a tick below what we expect from Timo Meier, but the problem is he's been so hot in the second half of this year, like almost unrealistically hot and unrealistically cold in the first half of the season. So we'd like to see it be a little more balanced next year. I know injuries played a
Mhm.
big part of it for Timo Meyer, especially early. If this team gets this version of Timo Meyer that we've seen since basically halfway through February until right now, if they get that all year next year, there's no reason to think that, with a healthy Hughes, with a healthy Heischer, Bratz going the way that he is, this can't be back to being one of the best teams in the NHL. Timo Meyer, I do think, is that important to this forward group because of the physicality that he brings, the goal scoring caliber that he's shown to be. I don't know if he's going to get 30. He would need 3 goals in the next 2 games. That's a lofty expectation, but he's right there on the cusp of being a 30 goal scorer. He won't play in 70 games this season. If he plays these last 2, it'll be 69 for him, but that's not necessarily the nicest number you want to get to through a 82 game season. So I don't know. I think the way Timo Meyer's played lately has just been remarkable, and it gives me so much hope for next year.
Yeah, but I'm going to be honest. I don't think 3 goals in the next 2 games, the way he's been playing, is really that lofty for him right now.
That's true.
Just he's been lights out, and it seems like he's been even more lights out since the coaching change. So it's almost like he was. Yeah, the injuries are there. Maybe he was also handcuffed under Lindy Ruff, and he wasn't able to really just play the way he wanted to play. But yeah, I completely agree. His play has been incredible. Since I want to say it's even a shorter period of time since March, since the firing of Lindy. So you're right. If we have that version of Timo all next season and the forwards that you mentioned, and if we just have 1 or 2 more solid defensemen in that lineup, if Jake Allen can continue the play he's playing, and we don't we don't bring in any other goaltending, but we get this version of Jake Allen for a full season next season, man, this is a totally different. We're in a different spot. We're doing a playoff preview at this time next year instead of a season post-mortem.
Absolutely. And, Jack Hughes was able to play. I think he probably would have held off on the shoulder surgery if they were going to the playoffs. It was clear that he was still able to put up points and be an impactful person on the power play, but we all know there's another tick that Jack can get to. And I think what happened in January kind of made him going from being like a 1.3 point per game player to just a 1 point per game player. I know that's crazy to say, but like that is kind of what we expect from Jack Hughes. And, certain players on this team have certain roles. One of his is to be a prolific offensive player at even strength and on the power play. And I think we'll see more of that if Timo's healthy and getting what he needs from the coaching next season. You're right about that, by the way. I couldn't agree with you more. Lindy Ruff had him playing left wing. Timo Meyer's a right wing. I think that's pretty obvious. And it makes you wonder, why? Like, why had he been playing left wing? He probably would have cracked 40 again if he was playing well all season long, or just shy with the injury that he dealt with. I know there was some issues with that this year, but I mean, when Timo Meyer's going, he kind of reminds me. This is going to sound crazy because I am not calling him this player in any way, shape, or form. It is just simply the style of play. He reminds me of Alexander Ovechkin. Now, Ovechkin's the greatest goal scorer who ever lived. Not saying that about Timo. Timo Meyer's not even in the same stratosphere in terms of, impact. But the style of play, a power forward that can hit, shoot well, drive the net, be a big body that's hard to move. Yeah, I mean, if Meyer leads the Devils in hits and goals in one of these upcoming years, I wouldn't be shocked at all. So, I just like the way he plays, and I think he could bring that to this team, especially if the rest of the group around him is also playing to their strength.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be one of the key takeaways this season. It's just collectively just wasn't there for multiple reasons. But Timo, I think at the end of the season, this is what we wanted from that trade, just over a year ago now, and what we're hoping for with this big long contract that he has in front of him. So, all we got to hope that it's a good start and a good, hopefully not so injury plagued season for him next year and for the rest of this team. But yeah, to lead the team in hits and goals next year, or points. I can't remember if you said goals or points, but I could definitely see that. Goals. Yeah. I could definitely see that from him, because that just seems to be the type of player. Because even when he came here last year, when he was adjusting to the team, he was doing a lot of that, off the puck stuff, the play before the play, which led to the assist, which led to the goal. All those unheralded things is what he was doing last year. And just think he's going to continue to do them, the last 2 games, potentially get those 3 goals he needs, and then also going forward next season.
Absolutely. I'm going to kind of switch gears here a little bit. Tonight, the Devils are
All right.
playing the Philadelphia Flyers. And in Philly today, they're celebrating the Wayne train, Wayne Simmons. Wayne Simmons was drafted by the Los Angeles Kings. He played a bunch of years for the Philadelphia Flyers after that. I believe he was traded for Mike Richards. I would have to triple check that, but I'm almost positive it was Mike Richards that went back to Los Angeles from Philly. The Kings ended up winning the cup, but man, did Wayne Simmons for a good 5-year period there. He's not like a Hall of Famer or anything like that, but for a
No.
5-year period there, Wayne Simmons was like Timo Meier. He was one of the best power forwards in the NHL, and he would fight. He'd muck it up in front of the net. He'd get under the skin of teams like the Rangers and the Devils. And then the Flyers did end up trading him to, I think they traded him to Nashville for a spell. And then he ended up signing with the Devils that offseason.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Devils traded him to Buffalo. A lot of people forget. Buffalo thought they had a chance, even though they were 10 points behind the playoffs. And then he signed, I think he played with the Leafs to end his career.
He
So,
did, yeah. He played at
really
Leafs
nice.
and did well.
Yeah, really nice career for Wayne Simmons. He did have a cup of coffee with the Devils. The Devils were terrible when he was on the team, but you know what? He went out there and played his hardest every single game, no matter what team he played for. And I'm happy that the Flyers are giving him this love tonight against the team that he played for also.
Yeah, I mean, well deserved. He's had a long, good career, like you said. Something that he should definitely be proud of. And he played around on a couple teams, and he made the most of his NHL career. And yeah, that's definitely a hallmark of Wayne Simmons is just he gave it his all every single time he was out there. Even though he was playing for a Devils team that wasn't very good at the time, he still did what he could for the team, and good for him. I hope he enjoys his retirement. Gets his due with the Flyers. I don't know. I'm assuming they're honoring him, maybe giving him. I don't even know what they're honoring him with, as far
A
as
ceremony,
just a
last
ceremony, I
skate.
guess.
I don't know, something like that. Yeah, they're not
Something, yeah.
retiring his number or anything like that.
No, but hey, maybe like a Wall of Fame type of thing. Who knows, like a Ring of Honor type thing. But good for him, well deserved. Good for the Flyers to do that. I'm going to assume it's one of their last home games, so they're going to do something like that. For him, for the fans, just to see the season out. And, hopefully the Devils can do to them like, what was it, the Stars did to us on Breland night, and just completely, ruin the evening for the team, after they honor their, one of their top players.
I'm thinking back, right when you said that, it spawned an idea. Do the Devils have any of Wayne Simmons' former teammates and the Flyers don't? I think that's actually a possibility. I think Wayne Simmons was on one team with Bratt and Heischer.
I'm going to look that up. That's a good question.
I don't think a single player on the Philadelphia Flyers played with the Wayne train. I'm actually willing to bet now, because who would have played with Simmons? That was the Voracek, Giroux, Gostisbehere. I think their goalie was probably Brian Elliott for a big part of that. I think he was probably teammates. He was probably teammates with Brizgalov at some point. When he was in LA, he obviously was with Kopitar and Dustin Brown and Quick in their early years, their very, very early years before even winning cups. Wayne Simmons, he's been around and played with some great players, actually, now that you think about his career path. Because then he ended up in Toronto. He got to play on the same team as Austin Matthews and John Tavares and Marner.
For 3 seasons.
What a career.
Parts of 3 seasons there. Yeah, so he was 2021. So yeah, he would have. Yeah, he definitely played with Nico, and he probably played with
Bratt.
Played with Bratt. And
he probably got in with Jack Hughes too, actually.
Yeah, I was just thinking that possibly Jack.
Jack's not playing tonight, but he's on the Devils.
No. Let's see if I can find that roster and see who was on it.
Yeah, that would have been Travis Zajac, maybe one more year. Andy Green, certainly. Kyle Palmieri. Halsey was gone. You said it was 2021?
Yeah. Here you go. I clicked on the wrong thing here. 2020.
It was after COVID?
That would have been during COVID. That would have been possibly during COVID. I'm trying to find it now. I'm trying to find it on my phone because my computer's tied up.
It was 1920.
Yeah,
It was
19. Okay, so it was
1920.
that. That
So
was right
Jack's
before.
rookie year.
Okay,
Yeah, that's what it was. So they traded him to Buffalo,
later
and
on that
then
season. Yeah.
Buffalo probably didn't even make the bubble. So that was just a waste of assets for
Yeah.
Buffalo to acquire
Yeah, 'cause
Wade
it's
Simmons.
69 games played. So I'm curious if maybe if he would have had a longer stint with the Devils had the season not been shortened by that season. I can't find that season's roster for some reason.
Here, I got you. In
You got it?
2019-20, yeah. The
You do
Devils
that then,
roster.
Vinny. You
Yep.
do that, and I'm gonna take a sip of a beverage I have right here. Found
Oh, I'm
this down in the
thirsty.
garage.
I'm thirsty. I'm really, really thirsty, actually.
I just had this beer called Ann Crew Brew. Have you ever heard of it?
What do you say it was called again?
Ann Crew Brew.
And Crew Brew. Join our crew today and drink And Crew Brew, where we make winning memories together, one crew at a time. And Crew Brew. Joey Anderson, Jesper Boquist, Jesper Bratt, Blake Coleman, Andy Green, Nikita Gusev, Taylor Hall,
Oof.
Nico Heischer, John Hayden, Jack Hughes,
Jack. Yep, there's
Michael
3.
Mick, not saying his name.
Yep.
Kyle Palmieri, Kevin Rooney, Brett Sini, Corey Schneider, Damon Severson, PK Subban, Sammy Vatanen, Miles Wood, Pavel Zacha, Travis Zajac. I skipped over a couple of the guys that like nobody knows. Like I didn't say Dakota Murmy's name or Gillies Sen or Ben Street. You know, some of these like guys who played a handful of games, but all the big ones, of course. So he would have been teammates with Heischer, Hughes, and Bratt, and Boquist isn't on the team anymore, but he's still in the league. So is Zacha and Coleman. Vatanen's gone. Subban's. Oh, Severson's on Columbus now.
Yeah.
Corey Schneider's on NHL Network. That's pretty cool. Michael McLeod is going to places nobody wants to go. Andy Green is retired. I mean, this team has names. It's honestly surprising they were as much of a joke as they were that season. They were only 7 teams didn't get invited to the bubble, and they were one of them.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
It was just an odd. It was just odd. That year was just odd in general. So we'll just chalk
that would
it
have
up
been
to that
10 months without Devils hockey.
Oh, that was a long time. Do you know how difficult that was to do the big show every week? You probably did it. You were probably doing it. I don't know if you were doing Bar Down at the time, but man, we did the big show every week, and it was just basically like a hangout for all of us.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of our listeners. It was a welcome hangout for them as well. So it was like, but we got to meet some great people. Like we got to have Sean Burke on. We got to do that and have a couple other people on during that time period, which was really cool. So, but yeah, just a weird time. But yeah, so it's Wayne Simmons is going to have 2 former teammates on the opposing side on the. Well, I don't know what jerseys the Flyers are going to wear today because I think they've worn some of those white ones at home from the outdoor game. So who knows?
That would be cool if they did the Stadium Series jerseys on both sides. I don't know for sure. We'll probably find out in a couple of minutes. They should be taking warm-ups in 1 minute.
Yeah, we're done wearing them. I think we're done wearing them.
Yeah, probably. That'd be a nice surprise. Well, I think it's time that everybody gets their predictions in the chat. Me and Shorts Guy are done reminiscing on the Wayne Simmons tenure with the Devils for long enough. Thinking back of 10 months. Beside from podcasting, writing for Pucks and Pitchforks and all that during that 10-month no Devils period, it was also just like you don't have your favorite team for 10 months. You're not used to going longer than 3 without your favorite team in any sport. So it's just it was a really, really hard time. I remember by the time the Devils came back, they had that opening game against the Bruins and Yegor Sharangovich scored in overtime. And I was like, I'm back. Like I felt like a sense of relief, like my favorite thing in the world is finally back after 10 months of being gone. And it was against Joey's Bruins too, my brother's Bruins. It was the best.
Sammy and I got a chance to go to that first game back with fans, and it was just so weird.
Oh,
Uh, yeah, Sammy and I were there. It was just odd because we were one of, I don't know how many were in the building. It wasn't many, but it was definitely strange being in that building without anyone there. It was odd.
yeah. I'm sure it was odd because I remember even like when they were playing the games and they had the tarps in the
Hmm.
back,
Oh yeah.
like covering the seats, and I'm like, and then you go back and watch highlights on YouTube of like games from long before COVID, and you're like, oh, fans, that's an interesting concept. And then now we're
Oh, I
back to
know.
normal, and it's normal again.
Yep.
And we've had a couple seasons since, but yeah,
Breaker,
strange.
breaker. Breaker,
Breaker,
breaker.
breaker.
Yeah. Just wanted to shed some light on it. You know what was the most annoying thing, a weird thing about that whole first game back from COVID? It was like 2,000 or 3,000 people, if you remember, Shorts
Mhm.
Guy. I think it was maybe 1,700 people. I think the first game back. Do you know
That
what
was
was the
it.
yeah?
I couldn't remember. I can't remember.
But the
They probably had
worst.
like a max on it, right? Like a
I
Yeah,
think so. Yeah.
20% capacity or whatever. Yeah.
yeah. The worst part about it was the fake fan noise that they would play
Oh.
over the.
Oh my God, I
was-
hated it.
It was like.
Yeah, it sounded the same every time.
Uh-huh.
But
Uh-huh.
doing
It was
it in the
even
stadium
worse.
with fans was even worse.
Yeah, I was gonna say it was. Oh my God, that was. I never need that in my life ever again.
I know
That
it was
was
such a weird time.
terrible. That was
Such a weird
so
time.
bad.
And you can
'Cause,
only
like,
take
not only-
off. You can only take off your mask if you're eating something. So you would have to hold like a chicken finger next to your mouth, and then take off
entire
your mask and be like, "Let's go, Devils!"
Yeah. It was weird. It was weird. I remember I wore my green jersey to that game. I don't know why I remember that, but
Because you probably
I
never
do.
got to wear it to a game they wore it in. Because they only wore it with no fans. Those green reverse retros. They never wore those in front of a single fan.
Oh, man. See, these are the things that you know that I don't. Like the
Wow.
things
Yeah,
that you
they
remember.
only
So, yeah.
wore the entire NHL. No hockey fan that is not a media member or something like that
Mhm.
has seen the reverse retros 1.0s in person. Not a single person.
Wow.
Only media, broadcasters, referees, the players, people that were like the less than 1% of people that were allowed in buildings in the 2021 season, the 56
Mhm.
gamer. Only those people saw the reverse. A couple teams carried them on, I guess that is true. I think Pittsburgh has worn theirs a couple times, or maybe not
Yeah.
Pittsburgh. There are a couple teams that wore theirs a couple times, but the Devils, they never wore that green jersey again. There was the short season,
And
and
it's the
they
hardest
never brought
jersey
it
to
out
get.
again.
This
That
jersey
too.
was
I
this
don't have one.
this jersey, and then I want to say it was probably harder to get the Adidas Stadium Series jersey. Was probably harder to get than this thing because I was
Yeah.
able to pick this one up relatively easy compared to that this year's Stadium Series jersey, which I can't wait to get mine back. I should have it back from being all stitched up probably within 2-3 weeks. So that'll be fun to have for next season.
Very good. I'm going to scoop one over the summer, I think. I need to have one. I want to wear it to the Rock next year. So that's my goal for the summertime is to get a stadium. So if they're a little on sale over the summer too, that's kind of what I'm waiting for at this point.
Well, whatever game you come out east for, we'll wear our Stadium Series jerseys to the same
Love
game
that.
together. We'll do
Love
it.
that. We'll hold hands too. Okay, so it's time to get
won't that
to
be sweet?
predictions. Shorts guy, what do you think is going to happen in today's game between the Devils and the Flyers?
Well, it's one of those things where anything could happen. I'm hoping that the just got Sam's prediction. I just wait till everyone hears that. That's just a Sam prediction and a half. I'm hoping that the Devils can do to the Flyers what we had done to us on Breland night and just trounce the Flyers. Because I think it was last season we put a touchdown on the Flyers in January, February of last season. I can't remember exactly when, but I do remember I had a few adult beverages and I texted a buddy of mine who's a Flyers fan and just to let him know what the score was. So I want to say the Devils could potentially do that again, especially with the who knows what Devils team's going to show up. That's what we don't know for the next 2 games. So my hope is they're playing for some pride and to kind of stick it to their Metro Division foes. I'm going to say I'm gonna go out there. I'm gonna go way out there, Vin. 6-1, New Jersey Devils.
6-1 New Jersey Devils. I love to see it. Very, very good.
6-1.
Very, very good. Joseph says 6-3 Devils. Select the Boy says 4-3 Devils. Steve Engel says 5-2 Leafs. Dude, I got bad news. I got bad news for you. They play Detroit. No, but he recognized it. He goes 5-2 Leafs. Oh wait, 3 games in a row against the same team. This isn't the playoffs.
Yeah, seriously.
That's very funny. So Sam Wu thinks the New Jersey Devils are going to beat the Philadelphia Flyers 13-3. 13-3. I hope that happens. That would be Flyers go out. I think John Tortorella would turn into a literal tomato if that happened.
Oh my gosh, he would lose his mind. He would absolutely lose his mind.
That would be hilarious. I think
Actually,
the Devils win this game. Go ahead.
Before you do that, I did get I was talking to Ted earlier. He gave a prediction of 5-4 for tonight's game. So
love that. Me and Ted are on similar wavelengths of how many goals the Devils are going to score. I was going to say 5-3. 5-3 Devils. Eliminate the Philadelphia Flyers from postseason contention. That is what is on the table today. I think if the Flyers lose and the Penguins win, the Penguins are playing the Bruins, so that's obviously tough. I don't know if anything needs to happen in the Detroit game. I would have to look into that. I know they are playing Toronto, obviously, as I just mentioned. Steve Engel's a big Toronto Maple Leafs fan, which so am I. It's going to be interesting to see how this goes. And I also encourage everybody, if you can, to tune into the Frozen Four a little bit. You got a second screen to throw something good on. Denver playing against Boston College. We're waiting for Seamus Casey to sign. That's at 5 p.m. Central, so 6 your time, about an hour into the game. The intermissions will probably kind of intertwine with each other nicely.
So we got one more aside from Ted's, which I said. Michael Rossi just said 4-3 Devils in the in the chat, and Art Heaton says under 6.5. So we got some out there.
A little low scoring action for Art.
Low scoring. I do want to address one thing from a couple shows ago. JP, I'm hoping I saw you in the chat earlier. I hope you're still here. He asked if I had any ciders over in England. And to answer that question really late, I did have a cider. I had a cider when we were traveling on the train, and it was called a Thatcher's Gold. And it was a pretty good cider while I was over there in England.
What was the fruit base? Apple?
Yeah, it was apple.
Okay, because I know they started making a bunch of ciders that like have all sorts of different fruits and stuff like that. Like I've had a cherry cider. So good.
I haven't had one. There's a great cidery up here, not too far from my house. I actually got a keg from last spring into summer, and it was such a great thing to have on tap at the house.
Ooh, I'm sure. That sounds delightful.
Yeah, it was so much fun.
I hope everybody enjoyed today's show. Make sure you tune in after to listen to Devils After Dark, featuring the great Sam Wu and the great Scotty of Sirius XM, as they are going to take you through the game that was. Shorts guy, anything else on the table before we head on out of here?
Anyone that's listening, it's going to the game on Monday. Look for me, Sam, and Beer Baron to be live at American Whiskey with Vinnie coming in from the Windy City of Chicago while we're there. So if you have some thoughts going to the game on Monday, it's the last one of the season. Come on out and hang out and have an Ann Crew brew while you're there. I'm gonna have
Ann Crew brew. I'm sad. This is the second to last show officially over. We have one more game after this. Enjoy the game. Enjoy the Frozen Four National Championship. Whoever you're rooting for, I hope wins, unless you're rooting for Denver, because I'm rooting for Boston College, but that's besides the point. I am so excited. As always, let's go Devils.